Let's tune in to this week's pulse. Okay, so this week's pulse is Gene Key 56. And that is, um, I forgot the shadow already. Addiction, no, distraction.
Distra-
Distraction uh, into the Siddhic state of intoxication. And the interesting thing about this is they're so connected. The pathway is enrichment.
Enrichment.
Yeah. Which always reminds me of when kids are um, in school and they are more advanced and need to learn more while others are catching up. They give them these enrichment exercises or things to do to uh, keep them occupied while the others are learning the basic materials. So, but I'm laughing because I'm like, well, that's just like life. we're all we're all either trying to catch up or we're waiting for others to catch up or anyway. So, the, as usual, Richard Rudd, when he transmitted this wisdom into his book and teachings, he he has such interesting words that he uses. And I want to really, really get everybody's clarity on distraction and what I mean by that, what he means by it. My take on it is constantly needing to be doing something so that we're not feeling or not being in this moment, feeling all that is. And we are brilliant at that, especially the spiritual community. Like, can you see how distraction is what we do when we go, oh, I just am going to numb out tonight in front of Netflix or with my glass of wine or, go for an exercise or I remember even having sex as a way to calm my brain down before a stressful event. Remember, I mean, there's so many ways that we can not be with life, our life, what is. How does distraction take over for you? Because I know that this thing I am brilliant at, and I'm starting to really notice my tendency to want to pick it up. And how can I just go, yeah, I see you. I feel the urge to want to pick you up and do something or play a game or check up on who's doing what. But
That to me, that feels like addiction as opposed to distraction. But distraction to me may be more like, you know, you may know your mission and you 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 just decide to do some other I okay. I may be on mission. And then I decide some other thing to do instead of staying on point or staying on course or whatever. It's like, um,
yeah, like when I need to do my taxes, this happens every spring. I do spring cleaning. I find it fascinating. My whole house gets so clean because I'd rather do something else than sit down and look at my finances. I, so that to me is a distraction. Um,
how does he define it?
he defines as any way that you check out, that you choose to do, or you allow other things to take you out of this moment.
Mm.
Um, and and yes, it does have a lot to do with being on purpose. And yes, it does have a lot to do with, oh, there's this thing that my soul is wanting me to do. But you know what? I think it's really important that I clean out that cabinet right now. So, so how we can trick ourselves oh, uh, into not staying on point because that may feel uncomfortable. Like having a conversation that we know we need to have with somebody, and
Right.
how we're like, yeah, so how's the weather? I mean, well, it, I I can see a lot of different ways that we use distraction. And it could be through numbing out, it could be through addiction because we're choosing to not address this thing. But that's how I take it on the big thing. And one of the things he says on this key is the shadow and the siddhi are so closely linked because the intoxication of being with all of life is all we need. We don't we don't want to do anything else. We're in a state of pure bliss of being with the pain, the pleasure, the beauty of living this life. It's intoxicating. So, um, it's this very, very fine line between the two of them. And then I love how, and you may help me with this, the enrichment, the gift, um, is okay. I notice that I'm wanting to get distracted by playing a game, wasting time versus really diving into what my soul is calling me to do. So, what is one thing? What would be an enriching act or thought or contemplative practice or step towards that? I don't have to like complete it, but to turn my attention to that.
Right. There's some kind of focus.
Right. And he said, be careful because sometimes we get into the service thing of, oh, it's what I'm here to do for others, or I'm
Instead
here
of
to serve. Yeah. And that is dangerous because then we're actually transferring our gifts into another form of distraction. I know. I listened to that this morning and I was like, how did I not hear that the last three times I've listened to that? This morning it was like ding, 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 like warning bells. So, and I want to say, like, I've been planning this trip. I get to see my daughter who lives on the other side of the planet. I get to see her in November. And we do a lot of talking back and forth, chatting on WhatsApp. And she left me this really beautiful voice note. And oh my God, hearing her voice is intoxicating to me. It's like I get high or something. It's like, whoa, it's so fun. And I feel so much love and I feel all lit up. And I thought, huh, that's an interesting uh, thing to look at. Like when I do get lit up, like when I have this amazing, like I'm watching the sky and this particular cloud will come across and I'm like, oh, aren't you beautiful? Or, looking at a flower in the garden. I don't know. I get simple pleasures of, but these hits of like bliss. I don't know if that's what he's talking about with intoxication, but the enrichment one is where I don't know how to like dial into my attention to stay on something because I think I get distracted or I
Mm.
just bliss out.
Well, I've been making a practice for myself of what I want to experience more of. What is the thing that lights me up? What is, like if I'm a spark, I'm a God spark. I'm this energy force that's super powerful. why not do the things that create and like light me up, delight me.
Right.
I mean, we all have choices about what we spend our energy on and what we focus on. And I guess for me, I guess that's the enrichment part that I'm choosing the delight, the things that delight or enrich me because I want more of that.
And it's also finding the intoxication of pain, because pain is just as exquisite or intoxicating, in his word, as delight. And we have a bias to not want to feel that. So then we'll distract. We'll jump over. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. I'm not telling you, but I would much rather choose the pleasure path.
Yeah, me too.
No, well, yeah. But knowing when something is difficult or going to be painful, it's like the one thing that sticks in my mind is like having that difficult conversation with a loved one, or um or even changing some habit that we enjoy because we know that we need to, our body no longer wants that, or our
Right.
soul no longer wants that, or however. And so I don't know. And this is where I think we can get uh we need guidance, or we need support, or this is where community, right, comes in, super helpful, because we can be so stuck in it that we're like, I just saw an article and I didn't finish reading it on Substack. It was about resistance. And I need to go back and find that, because it was like in my face that day, because I am like looking at how I will go out into the garden and weed, or, you know, I completely cleaned off the back porch yesterday just for no reason, but except that I was avoiding doing some stuff that needed to be done for the new website. Um, which I notice. Oh, interesting that you don't want to work on promoting yourself. What is that?
Well, unless it's cleaning out, this is how I sometimes see it. Sometimes when you are working on something like that physically with your hands, it makes space mentally and contemplating as you do to then be ready for that step.
That's an interesting point, because you know what? I came back in from after doing that project feeling so good, and I kicked off four things that I owed somebody on my task list. And I thought, wow,
Yeah. So I don't necessarily think that I would see that as a distraction per se. I find that it may be helpful. It's kind of like chop wood, carry water. When the act of like washing dishes by hand, there's something contemplative even in that action that then shifts something inside.
got it. Okay. And I tend to think of that as, um well, I have that list I journal about every day, like what am I going to clean? What am I going to clear? What am I going to create? You know? Um and it's funny, but if I do those things every day, which I naturally do, right? You straighten
Right.
the bed, you clean out the sink after brushing your teeth or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, um, and I don't think anything about it. But then there's the celebrate part where I'm like, oh, and I get to check it off my list. So, and that is an enriching thing for me. And it is being with daily life. It is, which doesn't have to look, you know, like planning this trip to Hawaii has been so much fun. And I get checked into doing that. And then I'm like, come back. This is where you are right now. And
I I think it's beautiful that you're having this anticipation for it, but yet you're not being manic about it, and you're doing it in little chunks. And so it like builds this beautiful anticipation. You're creating what you want to experience come November, right? So it's not like instant gratification. I think we're so used to that. There's this natural understanding that things are sometimes take time to build, and you don't have to build it all at once.
And it has made like, and it's easier to manage the money part, right? Because
Right.
you pay for this up front and you pay for this deposit up front, and the airline tickets are paid for. So each bit of it, um, which we just found the house for the second week of the vacation. And, so Miranda did that and I did one, so it's like everybody's kind of doing their contributions in their own way. So it's kind of fun. You're right. It is true. And it is even putting something in place towards that future event is enriching. I see what you mean. Um,
It may not feel it right this minute, but you,
right. Well, this morning's, because it was such a fun interaction with my daughter and back and forth and voice notes and stuff, it was just like, I just felt so, like I was saying, hi from this conversation. It just felt so fun and sweet. Um, so I wanted to ask you if you had any other, like, this is an opportunity, I think, of getting present and doing a check in and going, okay, what am I called to do today? It doesn't have to be the big, what's my next chapter in life and what book am I writing or any of that. It's like dropping in. And what was that question you used to ask about what is my next? What is my best?
that's my best next step.
Yeah, towards that thing, my that destination that I see in my mind's eye or my soul's eye. So I love that because tuning in to that could be a daily practice, which allows us to do these little baby steps towards that every day. Um,
That's like your trip.
yeah, or writing a book or any of those things. I think of any of those things, which just like makes my whole stomach turn. I know there's one in my future, but the whole thought of that is like later, later versus, what if I were to just do an outline? What if I were to just tune in and see, you know, what's my next step? So,
I
so
think,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was just reflecting on the fact that those choices, whether they be daily or like we've made a weekly practice to meet. There's the commitment, the devotional practice to self, um, that we all get to experience. And what is it that we want to create while we're here? I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? We're all creating things. Where do we want to focus our energy to create something?
And I think sometimes we don't even know that. We don't know what it is. But I think at the commitment, like I have a walking commitment with one friend, and we do about 5 miles every week. And um, it's just a commitment. And you know what? I'll do it because it's fun, because I'm with my friend, right? But man, any other day you tell me I'm going to go out and walk in the summer heat, I'm like, no, thank you. So it doesn't appeal to me at all, but it's like, oh, walk with Anne. Ding, done, scheduled, on it. So there's a commitment piece to it. And I don't know if that's part of the enrichment or if that's something we hold lightly. But that's another tune in and another personal centering into what does that feel like? My best next step.
Best next step. Do you know the mudra for this one?
I do. It's a very interesting one. And I love that it's called um, the bee, the busy bee.
Mhm.
in the Sanskrit. So you take your index finger and you roll it into a like a little tiny ball behind your thumb. So they're like tightly connected and make like a little tiny circle, like a little tiny okay. Then you take your middle finger and touch your thumb. And so your pinky and your ring fingers are both standing up. So it does look like a little bee. And he said this when he was teaching, he goes, this tends to make me giggle because there's something that's fun and intoxicating and pleasurable about dropping into this space. So I would like to find a way to do this sometimes when I'm in a distractible, um, not wanting to be with the world or my life as it is in that moment. Can I remember to do this is my question. And breathe into it and uncross your legs and allow all the energy to flow up and down. Any final thoughts?
No. Enrich, enrich, enrich. How can I enrich my life today?
Yeah, I need to get it unassociated from enriching uranium to make nuclear. So I'm like, stop. This is enriching me, enriching my life. So, which is a
Making
power.
making it delightful.
Yeah, and full and intoxicating and pleasurable. So, till our next time together, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.